Hi, this is Krieger Marjen here. Uh, Excited to announce and welcome to our first ever press conference that we're going to be holding. We'll have this in a couple different parts, but we're going to go ahead and sit here. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is you heard me say yes, Impulse Wrestling. Impulse Wrestling is coming back. Now that we have some new capabilities and features. We'll be kicking off. We'll be able to have add a little bit more story to what we're doing. If you've ever watched any of us before, you've kind of just seen us just wrestle. We've had a very long history from, if you guys are joining us now, all the way back in SmackDown versus Raw 2009, back when I was 13 years old and I didn't know what I was doing. Some could argue I still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning every day. I feel pretty experienced. So we're going to start having actual storytelling, promos. We're going to have a press conference for every major pay-per-view before and after. We'll have some just promos out too for building some of our rivalries that we're having. So we're going to kind of see along later in the press conference. We're going to have interviews with each person, and then we're going to have an open media day where members of our media, MykeCheck'd Productions, will kind of ask some of these questions to the wrestlers and kind of just trying to get you guys to know them on a more personal level, what's in their head, see what kind of drama we can kind of see as we're going forward to kind of be more in depth in our storytelling. Now, one thing to expect, given that we're going to be a little bit more high detailed on it, I'm not going to be trying to pump out 17 matches a week kind of thing. We're going to work on long-term storytelling and just having some competitive matches and seeing how it goes. So, I do plan on this being a longer term deal. I kind of had a situation where I wasn't able to continue doing the league if you saw it disappear. So, this time it's going to be a more long term thing. On 2K23, one big difference is we're only going to be doing it on Xbox Series S or X. So, if you have an Xbox One, you'll not be allowed to be in the league just because it causes so many issues. So I want to just go ahead and announce our first pay-per-view. Now, I do not have a date on this pay-per-view. It's going to be contingent on our roster. And whenever I feel like we have a roster that's large enough to support this, we'll announce a date. And we'll announce the date for the pay-per-view. We'll announce the date for the press conference whenever we'll hold that. And then we'll announce the date for our post interview, which we'll probably try to make that pretty immediate whenever we do our post interview for that. So our first one's actually going to be the New Year's Bash to kind of kick off the year. I know it's a bit after the New Year's, but the new game just came out, which actually I'm super excited about because it has one of the most intuitive options. We can customize finishers. I mean, you can turn blood online. How many years have we been asking for that? 8-man matches, war zones online, or war party. I don't remember the name, but the one where you can do 8-man cages 4v4. So we have possibilities if our rosters allows for it, up to 4v4 tag team matches. So we'll have those championships available as the tag divisions become competitive. That's going to be entirely up to our competitors on how big our divisions are going to be. So when it is started, what I'm gathering up the roster now and recruiting, we're being very selective on our recruitment. So if it's somebody that we've had issues with in the past, I'm not going to recruit them. If they don't seem like they're going to be a good fit for the style of league, I'm not going to recruit them. So if it takes a little bit longer to get a bigger roster, that's what it's going to be. We're sitting at about 7-8 people right now that are good people that I think will work out. So these will be the championships that we have ready for you, and you'll see a picture here on the screen that will show each one, so you can kind of see. And then once we crown whoever becomes the first champion will be actually the first one. You'll see their belt around their waist. So first of all, obviously our shows are Chaos and Inferno. We will have Inferno later down the line if our roster allows for it. So the Chaos Flag Bearing Championship will be the Chaos World Heavyweight Champion. Our colors are going to be red and black for that. As you can see here, it's going to be more of a brushed steel kind of look on our designs for our belts, at least for our major belts on our shows. So that's what that's going to look like. Here's going to be, and that's going to be for our main event division. Our mid card division is going to be the title that we've had for a long time. It's going to be the Future Icon Championship. Here it is on the screen. We're very excited to see the return of that. And then we've been debating on what to do for the Jobber Championship division. So I'm actually going to be, since a lot of our competitors in the league are European this year, we're going to have the European Championship as the Jobber division. Not saying that they are jobbers, but that might be a little jab to them, if you will. And then our specialty division is actually, we're going to bring back the Women's World Championship for that. So everyone will be able to compete in that if they want to. It is a completely optional division. And then we will start out with just the duo tag team division. If we have at least 4 teams in a division, then we'll expand to the next section. So we're going to have the duos. We're only going to have that once we have at least 4 tag teams. And if we want to see a trios world title, we need at least 4 trio teams registered and active. That's for the initiation. Now, if it drops below that, okay, well, we already started it. We're going to keep it going. But we just really want to see a really active one. So just imagine if we're going to have 4-man tag teams. That would be insane. Limit on your teams for your things. I'm going to do it just as many titles you can have. So 5. So 5-man factions are our maximum. Nothing past that. That's kind of what we're looking at. Kind of to the future. We just want to keep this going. Like I said, have a really good story. Continuing to do awesome dynamics to what we can do. And that's all I have for just my solo little opening. So I'm going to go ahead and take questions from the media for MykeCheck'd Productions. This will be a time that I'll answer openly any questions that anybody has anything about the league. I've got some that our interviewers have already prepared. But if you guys have any questions that you want us to answer on our next podcast, our next press conference, for any one of our interviews that we're going to have, or something you're interested in, just shoot a comment in here, and we read all the comments, and then I'll make sure to copy that down. And on our next press conference, we will cover that and at least touch base on it. And this can be about any one of our members. This next interview from the media will specifically be geared towards myself. So, all right. So let's go ahead and open up the questions.
TMC, Impulse Media. Can you tell us about your history with the company, Impulse?
Yeah, so I actually founded before Impulse was a thing. I started CWF back in SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 when I was like 13. It stood for Clean Wrestling Federation, and the whole idea of it was to have like a fun, this is cheesy, a fun, fair, competitive place for people to play because there's a bunch of cheese moves online. So that's kind of how the history of it began, and I've just kind of been dominating everybody since then. I'm over 100-time world champion, over 100-time tag team champion, 3-time Hall of Famer. I've been at every one of the big shows. I'm consistently the headliner, and it's not because I'm the leader, it's because I've worked my way up consistently up and down the roster.
So that leads me to my next question. What's the world title picture going to look like?
So, in my opinion, based on what I've seen so far, obviously I'm going to be the world champion, but there are a couple competitors I kind of see up in there that are going to be risks to at least have a challenge to me. It's obviously always TMC, because I kind of trained him and taught him a little bit too much. So he's going to be a threat. Looney's back. He was always really good. I fought him the other day, and he's a lot better than he was before. So I'm going to have to kind of practice there. I don't think Sonic's going to be a threat. And then, Rated is been rumored to come back. So those are some of the top threats I can kind of see. Obviously, there could always be a new person that just comes out of nowhere that blows us away. But I don't think that the road to the title is going to be very hard for me personally.
And so that brings me to my next question about the Scott Hall Memorial Battle Royal. Will we be seeing that this year?
So for the people that don't know, last year after Scott Hall's passing, when we were doing the league, we did a big memorial tournament, and I think it was at least 30 people that were in it, and I ended up winning it. So it'll forever be in my record that I won that and become the world champion for the year. And I was the last world champion. So we might end up bringing it back. I think if I'd like to bring it back, I'd like to do it at like a Clean Mania or a King of the Ring tournament and just dedicating it to that, kind of similar to the way WWE does Andre the Giant Battle Royal. But we're actually going to make it mean something when it happens. So that's kind of what I want to leave that into. So I don't want to cheapen what it means. So
I heard you say Cleanomania. Isn't it Impulsomania?
You're right. I think you caught me there. I've lost count the number I'm on. I'll have to look at the record books, but it's Impulsomania. Do we have numbers out there, anyone? Do you remember at all? I don't. 13? Would it be 13?
It's 11.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
13 to 14.
Hold on. So 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 21, 20, 21, 22, 23. No, it'd be 15. Impulsomania 15. So, okay, and continue. So yeah, it's actually Impulsomania 15, which will be a big number for us. So we're gonna have a really big celebration for that about midway through the year on this. So I'm excited for that build up for that.
And what's the first planned pay-per-view?
As I said in the opener, we're going to be doing a New Year's bash for that pay-per-view to declare all of the first official champions for the year. So I'm super excited for that. We'll be releasing some of the pictures and video for the new arena that will be custom designed by our experts here at MykeCheck'd Productions.
And I'm assuming there's going to be additional divisions?
Yeah, yep. I touched a little bit upon it earlier, but each division on each one of those titles are gonna be competed upon. We'll have a skill-based ranking system with ranks with a max slots of 10 superstars per division. So there'll be limited spots in each division. If you want to move up, we have segments up there. So kind of describing some of the rules.
And can you tell me about your tag team aspirations?
So I am going to be continually, as I've always done, have a Brotherhood faction. We all know that there's a limit of 5 people per faction this year. So I don't think I'm going to have the same partners as always. Usually you'll see me with Sonic. I think we were undefeated for over a year at one time, and I think we have the longest reigning tag team titles in history within the company. But I'm going to go in a different direction for a tag team this year. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for potential brothers to enact into the Brotherhood. But it just kind of depends. We'll see. I'm looking for young talent, new people that can usher forward a new age in Impulse Wrestling.
You mentioned Sonic in your statement there. What about Sonic? You didn't mention him in the world title picture. He's been known as somebody that's usually in the world title picture.
I think Sonic is he's peaked. I think ever since Ice Cold left the company, we just haven't seen him do as well. Maybe Ice Cold was the one that was carrying them in their team, and the only reason he won was him. I'm not saying that, but that's a possibility. So I think we're going to see. I don't think Sonic's going to be in the world title picture anytime this year.
And what's some new things we can look forward to with Impulse this year?
So for this year, one big thing is, if you notice, is press conferences like we're having today. We'll be having them before and after every single one of our pay-per-views to kind of have more emotion into it. See our reactions to stuff. We're going to be having promos. We're going to have more in-depth editing on our programming, so we're going to have actual stories to tell instead of just raw uploads like you see 90% of leagues do. So I think it's going to be a real different. We're going to still have our Impulse brand where it's incredibly competitive and people come here for the matches, but also for our audience at home so they can see some good content for online gaming. I feel like there's a big void for that.
And I'm assuming there's going to be some additional divisions this year as well?
Yes, as our roster allows for it, we'll be doing some additional divisions. Now, specialties, and this will be specialties, will be, we usually do one per show. So whenever we have enough people and we expand over to our Inferno brand, we'll have a specialty title. So we'll probably include one of the following titles, but we'll have to decide which one we want to do. Either a knockout, an MMA, a submission title, a first blood title, or a King of the Cage championship. Those are ones that I'm kind of looking at to be their world championship. I mean, the specialty titles for Inferno. But, it's a long ways away before we get to that point. So I kind of just want to play it by ear. There might be some better ideas later down the road.
And that pretty much wraps up all my questions. But is there anything else that we should know about Impulse this year?
No, I think that's everything I had to say. I'm excited for the year. I think this is going to be one of our best years yet, and we're going to produce some of our best matches. And you're going to see Krieger Marjen as the World Heavyweight Champion for the 247th time. All right.
Well, we'll definitely be watching, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and bring out our next person. I think TMC is supposed to be the next person that's coming out. So we'll let's give everybody a welcome to TMC. Hey there, TMC. I haven't seen you in a while. My first question for you is, what are your thoughts on Impulse coming back, and what does it mean for you?
Well, I won't lie. I was a little surprised when I heard it was coming back. The last few years, things haven't always gone the way I thought it would for the company, staying active with people or really going the distance. So I'm always excited to be a part of Impulse and be able to show my talents.
Gotcha. Can you tell us a little bit about your history with Impulse?
Well, I've been in Impulse for about going all the way back to 2010 for the SVR days, and that's when it went by. Yeah, so I've been a part of Impulse for about 13 years now. I started back in 2010 for SVR when it went by CWF. I've had many world titles over the years, but I have not been able to really dominate like I know I can, and that's why I'm really excited about this year to be able to show my talents and be able to finally be known as the guy, the world champion.
So you would say that for this year, your main goal is to be known as the man,
the number one champion, and the number one person in the league.
Gotcha. Well, this year, what do you expect your biggest challenge for that goal to be?
Well, there's a few people. So I would definitely say that Looney and Krieger Marjen would be at the top of that list. I know there's some new guys that always come around and end up, surprising me. Especially last year in the Scott Hall Memorial Tournament, we had a new guy that was just dominated and made it all the way to the finals, but ended up losing to Krieger Marjen 2 times in a row. So, yeah, I got my work cut out for me, but I'm very confident that I'm gonna get the job done.
Gotcha. So what about tag teaming this year? Do you have any goals to be a tag team champion, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you know my history with the company, I haven't really been a big tag team guy, but I said I want to be the number one guy, and by being that, I'm gonna need to dominate in different areas of the company. And I think the tag team division is definitely high on my list, and I will be chasing for the tag titles.
Got
Not
you.
yet decided on who's gonna be the partner.
Do you have anybody that you're eyeballing for a tag team partner that's within the league?
Nobody specifically at this time, but I'm always keeping my eye out for new talent or even old talent. Just trying to build chemistry in different matches.
One of your biggest opponents, who you said was a threat, Krieger Marjen earlier said that he's planning on bringing back the Brotherhood. Are you afraid of that, or do you think it's kind of worn out?
Well, personally, I would say that the Brotherhood has been a name that's lasted for many years, but it's kind of fallen off in recent times. And I'm not saying for sure if it will happen, but I definitely am eyeballing the Brotherhood and potentially teaming up with them to dominate the tag team division. So that's not official, but we will definitely keep an eye out for that.
Gotcha. So another person that we're being told that was a really big person in Impulse Wrestling and CWF was rated, and apparently there's a rumor that he's going to be coming back after this first pay-per-view. Do you think he's going to be a major threat after taking so much time off?
I'll keep this short and simple. I've never really thought Rated to be a guy that's really too much competition, and, well, I honestly could care less if he joins or not, because it's not going to affect me from winning the titles that I'm going to be holding.
Gotcha. What about Sonic? He's definitely a seasoned. I think he's the only member in the entire league that's been here longer than you, other than Krieger. Do you see him as being a big obstacle this year?
Well, Sonic's probably been my biggest rival, one of my biggest rival over the years. We've had crazy matches, a lot of toxic chatter between us. But honestly, Sonic the last few years just hasn't really been himself. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm 2 steps ahead of him when it comes to performing.
Gotcha. So, what about your history with Krieger? You kind of alluded on it a little bit. Can you kind of touch base on what's the story been so far for the people that don't know about it?
Well, I'm sure the one story many people are going to bring up is when I first joined the league and was dominating and got my first title match was against Krieger Marjen. Let's just say it wasn't a great day for me. I got pinned off one signature, and I was known to be a guy who could kick out of almost just multiple finishers, and that was probably one of the most embarrassing moments I had, but me and Marjen have had good matches over the years. I would definitely say he's always been above me when it comes to that, but it's a new year, and this year is going to be the year where I'm number one.
So can we? I did have a question about on your prediction for this first pay-per-view. If you had to name one person between everybody that's on the roster right now, who do you think is going to become the first world champion objectively?
Well, it has to be me, because how can I put somebody else over me?
That's
I'm going to be the number one guy.
Confidence is key. And my last question for you: in the coming year, there's going to be a whole new roster. It's going to be fresh. There's going to be new people, a couple old people, but mostly new people. When it comes to the new people, are you looking more to help raise them up for the next generation, or are you going to bury them like Krieger has in the past?
Well, I see myself as somebody who's always aware of new talent and potentially surrounding themselves around me, because they can learn by the way I approach things and by the way I fight in the ring. And I don't really see myself building up too many people, but I'm sure there'll be a few people that just get inside my circle. And usually I would have to say that they're just going to be for protection and nothing more. But we'll have to see.
Okay. So, and my very last, it's not even a question, it's more of a statement. So I just got word from communications with the COO, Krieger Marjen. Looks like you're going to be the general manager for Monday Night Chaos. It was just announced. Were you asked about this at all, or were you aware that you're going to be the new general manager?
Yeah, there's been some discussions behind the scenes, but I'm very excited for the role. And one thing I can guarantee you is that you're going to have exciting, hard-hitting brawls, and there's not going to be a match that fails when it comes to ratings.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions I had for you, unless you wanted to make any kind of call-outs or final statements.
Well, all I really have to say now is I will be your new world champion, and I am the #1 guy.
Go. All right, next up in the interview, it is Glover playing as Drew McIntyre. My first question for you is: first impressions are really big whenever you're joining a new league like this. What sets you apart from the competition that we need to know about?
Probably, if I can think, I mean, looking around, you're probably going to gain quite a lot of great talent here, great new talent, up and coming, or already established superstars. But I think the one thing that sets me apart from everybody, and not to speak too arrogantly of myself, is just raw and unfiltered tenacity. I have never really been a person to spit my metaphorical pacifier out if things don't go my way, nor do I gloat my many successes. I'm a more of a roll of the punches kind of guy. However, when I have my eyes set on something, you best believe that is all I am going for, and nothing will deter in that path. So, determination, tenacity, and an unwavering sheer will of iron is probably my highest strong suit.
Gotcha. So you're talking about some of your previous accomplishments. In your previous leagues that you've been a part of, if you've been a part of them, what kind of fit were you there? Were you more of a main event person that was getting all the titles? Were you more mentoring young talent? What did it look like for you?
Well, I can't exactly mention the previous names of my said leagues because of previous contract agreements. However, I can mention that one of my most prizing moments is being dual their longest intercontinental and their longest European champion. Both of those, but around, let's say, averaging almost twice longest as the second one. Um, I spend a lot of my time purposely putting myself mid card level and really elevating a title to almost main event status. As you can put a good fighter in any belt, but can you bring a belt up to establish you as a good champion? That's something which I really pride myself on having done time and time again.
Nice, nice. Definitely looking forward to that. So as far as wrestling goes, do you have any tag team aspirations? Are you looking for being that kind of role, or are you mainly wanting to stick to those mid card and jobber titles?
You know, when I was making my journey across the water all the way over to North America for this league, I was thinking about this question actually, even though I had no idea you were going to ask. And I have been in factions before. I've been in many tag teams. I think we held gold a few times, but definitely, I think that the cohesion and the collision that tag teams can both have cause, even if it looks to be a benefit, detriments to either side. And I've mainly been a singles competitor. I'm not really looking for anything here. However, I wouldn't be against it if someone came to me with interests that would further my own goals, as well as maybe the side caveat little tag on of being able to work better as a tag team. I feel like establishing myself as an individual will open so many more doors for myself than a tag team would just being under a name. But I'm not against it.
Yeah, gotcha. So, question on this one. So it was announced earlier today. There was actually a couple big announcements. One of the announcements was that we are going to be having a European Championship in the jobber division. And that was announced by our COO Krieger Marjen. What do you feel about that?
Well, to answer that question, I would actually have to ask you what you class a jobber as, because do you class them as your lower talented wrestlers, your wrestlers with a worse record? Because all I see is development potential. You put a title in the jobber division, there's no guarantee that they're going to stay jobbers. And as they get better and better, and as their skills improve and their records improve, they can go to mid card and this main card, and they can main event wrestle, they can main event whatever the hell they want. If they even want to go over to WWE, whatever they want to go to, you can bring up the skill and the in-ring talent and the on-mic talent of a superstar, but you're still going to leave that title down there. That's, in my eyes, diminishing the reputation of the title. So if I am put down there, or if I enter myself down there, and I win that title, you best believe it isn't staying there. It's not staying at that level. So it's not really a case of it's in the jobber division. It's who's actually going for the belt.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things where that'll be the entryway to the league. So that's going to be the first division everyone's going to see. So if we get somebody in there that's going to have bring up the title, that'll just make the league even better when they say this is the entryway and it's this tough here. So, So what's your so I'm assuming by the way you're talking, your main goal this year, I'm assuming it's going to be something to do with adding prestige to a championship.
Most definitely. No matter which title I hold, no matter which quote unquote, and I'm gonna use heavy air quotes here, whatever division you call these in, your jobbers, your mid card, your main card, your pay-per-views, no matter what you say, a title is a title at the end of the day. If I could hypothetically win the European Championship, I could be a better champion than your heavyweight. It's all a case of person by person. But what actually does it mean to elevate a title? Do you just win matches? No. If I take that title, and it is in the air quotes once again, jobber division, and I win, and I win, and I win, and I bury talent, bury talent, what happens then? It just seems like a squash match. It seems like that title means nothing because there's no competitors. To truly elevate a title, you need innovative match types. You don't want to see just a boring pin or submission over and over because then you have no real risk to it. That title needs to be defended often. There's no point holding around a reign that lasts long, let's say a year-long reign, but you've only defended it a dozen or so times. So that needs to be challenged often to remain on top of those leagues. However, I also believe that champion-on-champion friction is also needed to elevate a title. If the European or any title is below on the rating cards than another title, if I go and aim after their champion and I start a feud with them, or I get on the bad side of them and we come to matches, we come to blows, we come to promos, we come to whatever it is that we need, and I get the better of them, what does that show about the titles? What does that mean for the titles? Your mid-card champion is now losing or looking worse than your jobber title. That's when you know you've elevated the title. That's when you know when a championship means a lot more than it is. And that's what it means to elevate a title.
Okay. Definitely looking forward to that. So just my closing question on here, and I'll leave this more of an open end, so you can do with what you want on it. So is there anyone that you would like to call out, or that you're looking forward to fighting, or any final thoughts you might have to just let us know exactly who you are?
Once my music hits and I go down that ramp and I step into that ring and I move over to my corner, no matter what the stipulation is, no matter what the goal is, my only mission is to have my hand raised at the end of that 3 count or at the end of those 3 taps. As for the opponent, once again using air quotes, they aren't a factor. They are simply and respectfully in my way. We're both here for the same thing, but I want it more. So it really does not matter who is put in front. So you can give me anyone, really. I don't have quarrel with people. I don't go into this hating anyone. I understand we are all here to test and further our abilities. So if people can get better by fighting me or me them, then so be it. But no one, at least to my eyes, is a bigger threat to myself than myself. That's the only person I really need to work on. The only person I need to work on is me. No one is a threat. No one will make me worried. But I'm also not going to call anyone out at the moment, as I think I've only met a handful of the roster on my way in here. and I'm sure there's many more to be added afterwards. But the one message I guess I will address to everybody is, if you are opposing the corner of the squared circle with myself, the only thing acceptable is to throw everything you have, for my sake and for your sake.
Nice. Okay, guys, that's all the questions that I had. Did we have any other questions in the press, or are we good to go on to the next person?
I do have one question I want to put out there and ask because it's something that came to mind. This is MykeCheck'd 95, the head of GM of MykeCheck'd Productions. Since you are joining the Impulse Wrestling League and you're one of the newer faces, I figured that you have met with some of the returning members from the last couple of years and everything. Was wondering if you happen to hear about any of like the past like drama or like the possible like issues that have caused in the past between with like previous members in the group, like um a certain somebody does
Oh,
writes himself into winning a match, or like a tag team puts themselves in a position where like they're basically unbeatable and they have basically saying power. I was curious about if you've heard about that or have dealt with that before in previous leagues. What's your take on that, and how would you be able to handle that kind of situation?
You know what I'm going to say? Like a great man, always a great question. Now, I'm going to answer this in a very different way. Okay, I'm going to stick basic to the premise of what you've asked, but I'm going to take my own spin on the answer here. So, I am aware of some of the drama that has went on in the past. However, like any corporation, and well, a wrestling industry is at its most core a business, goods for services, entertainment for a price. There's always going to be some corporate scandals. There's always going to be some mismatches, some mishaps. There's always going to be something happening occasionally. However, the key word to focus on is past. Okay? The only way to move forward is to acknowledge it happens and correct those mistakes going forwards. So, my personal belief is no matter what has happened prior to me joining this league, from the moment I signed the contract swearing me in for however long I am here, none of that past will matter. Every face, no matter what they have done in the past, will have a clean slate with me. As for my take on when those things happen, sure, they're distasteful, cowardly. Some would say heinous, some would say, well, that people just don't really have enough star power to do it on their own, so they try and make corporate influence. But at the end of the day, it's a business. Things are going to happen. You have to correct it. But I believe my role as a superstar is not to be concerned with the choices and happens of corporate. If it gets too much of a problem, then I believe the entire roster will stand as a united front. But I'm hoping for the best. So I'm writing a clean slate, drawing underneath it, and using my signature on the contract as the finalizer for that clean slate. Great question once again. Thank you.
I
Thank
got a
you for the
question,
answer.
guy. My question to you is, do you think you can hang with, knowing that you are a European wrestler, do you think you can hang with the best of the best from the United States of America?
Okay, we have a patriot over here. Now, patriotism is awesome, okay? I'm a nationalist myself. I love my country, patriotic to the core, okay? As for best of the best of the best, now, maybe in your region, okay? There's always going to be best of the best no matter where you are. You go to Japan, you're going to find some world class wrestlers. You stay in Europe, you're going to have some world class wrestlers. You go to North, South America, Africa, no matter where you go, you're always going to have star material. Now, how those star material match up against each other? Well, the only way to find out is to break down those international borders, and that's exactly what I and a few others are here to do. Traveling over, across the water, across the continents, the only way to answer the question of can you hang with the stars, or can those stars hang with us, is by finding out in the ring, finding out on the mics, and finding out when one is lying on the canvas and one is holding a belt raised above their heads.
Okay. Any other questions from our press, or are we ready to wrap it up?
Are we gonna wrap it up?
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time. We will be moving on to the next person now, and we will see you here in a little bit.